All right, guys. Hey, welcome back to the Monday Morning Mindset Podcast. It is exciting, and I'm enthusiastic this morning to be with you. And I say this every single week, and I mean it. My desire and goal is to identify who can best serve you. To look at some of the topics that I believe that will help move the needle in your business, that will help set you up for the best week ever. Because the goal is progression, right? We're not going to get to perfection, but if every week you can get a little bit better, I promise you, you'll be standing in a much further location than you could even imagine 12 months from now. And so today, guys, I know for a fact I hit the nail on the head with the guest we've got. We got Jonah Lewis joining us. Jonah, good to have you with us, brother.
Good to be here. Thank you for having me on, Paul.
Absolutely, man. Well, guys, just to give some context, I think most people watching this, they know exactly who you are. But if they don't, let me just kind of give some context. Jonah is one of the largest organizations in the insurance industry, not just with Pinnacle, but in this space. Pinnacle is the fastest growing IMO in the nation, bar none. And he's leading the charge with the fastest growing, the largest organization within that. And so he's had some great success and also a leader that I guess I respect immensely because it wasn't just like, hey, go do this. This is a guy that's led by example, been a top producer year after year, serving 500 plus families, and will jump back in the field when he wants to, just to kind of show that example and kind of lead from the front. And so, really, a guy that can, I believe, speak to you in multiple different ways. We could take this in multiple different areas, but we're going to really park today on mindset. Jonah, you've got access to more top producers than anybody else because you got the largest group. You've probably had a lot of conversations with people that say some big things and they do nothing. And you probably talked to some people where you're like, the track record looks like they'll crush us, and then they don't. And then you've probably spoken to some people where like their experience track record would say that they wouldn't, but then they do. And there's commonalities to the best of the best. Success leaves clues, right? And so I think for anybody on here, if you're just getting started, or maybe you're at a place where you're like, I'm doing pretty good, but you know that there's a level above. What you're looking for is the successful clues. Because then all you got to do is once you find them, is pick them up and implement it. And ask yourself on today's call as we go through this, guys. Let me just implore you to take some notes, make some notes, ask yourself on a scale from 1 to 10, how well am I doing with that? Did I even know that clue existed? And if you did, how good are you at implementing that clue? So let's jump into it. The first thing, Joan, I'd love to have you kind of speak to is like if we were to go through and say, what's the top couple commonalities? Let's just park on maybe the first one first. Like, what do you think is a big commonality of the ones that go out there and they hit top producer level, that they become just an animal, 40, 50,000, 60,000 month production? What's a big commonality that stands out to you?
That's a great question. First of all, I want to say shout out to you because I remember watching these way back in the day, driving my car, driving to other states, doing in-homes, and these Monday morning podcasts provided a lot of value to me and helped me really increase my skill set. So it's a full circle moment where I'm able to blessed to be on here and me be able to pour
I
back into
appreciate it,
people.
bro.
But absolutely, to answer your question, the number one determining factor that dictates if someone is successful or not, it comes down to hunger, grit, and then above hunger and grit, number one is obsession. Work ethic is extremely important and it's fundamental to success, but work ethic does not hold a candlestick to obsession. So the best piece of advice I can give to somebody, if they're especially if they're just starting out in sales, they're brand new, is become obsessed. Especially those first 90 days, you want to live, eat, breathe, sleep life insurance. And because the hardest part about this business is those first 90 days, and how you treat your first 3 months in this business will dictate your results over the course of the next 3 years. And so not only am I putting in the reps, which is most important, putting in reps on reps on reps on reps, but am I hopping on podcasts like this? Am I listening? Am I sharpening my sword? Am I prioritizing my personal development? Am I seeking feedback from it? Am I asking the right questions? Getting in the right rooms, getting around the right people? Am I getting plugged into an office? All of these things are critical and fundamental towards success. And you guys just want to put yourself in the best position possible to win. And we've got a lot of great leaders here at Pinnacle. We've got a lot of great mentors. So as long as your mentor is consistent, has produced 40K or above or 30K or above, and like knows how to produce, follow and listen to exactly what they say and do exactly what they do. And on top of that, regardless of how much or how little your mentor is doing, we have so many resources and so many trainings here that, I mean, you guys can take little tips and tricks from everybody. And the mindset you guys, for everybody, if you're brand new watching this, what you would need to have coming into this is you need to have the mindset of, I am going to do this until it works. Not, oh, I'm going to do this for 3, 6 months. And if it doesn't work, I'm going to stop. You have the mindset of, I'm going to go all in. And it's not a matter of if it's going to work. It's simply a matter of when am I going to be successful? Because I was talking to an agent. He was a few layers below him. He's a part-time college student, and I personally don't hire part-time people, but he's recruited by somebody else, and he's part of our group. And I love this dude, by the way. But he's in school part-time, and he's kind of struggling and whatnot. And he's like, well, I'm gonna go all in, and like I'm gonna go all in when I see success in this. I said, brother, that's a flawed mindset because you're only gonna see success when you go all in on this. And the truth is, if you're coming into this with a plan B, you're making it that much harder for yourself to be successful. And frankly, you're shooting yourself in the foot because if I have the mindset of, all right, in the back of my mind, maybe subconsciously, not even realizing it, like, all right, if it doesn't work, I got this lined up or I'm gonna go do this. Well, what's your thought track going to be on the bad days? Because the bad days will come. And on the bad days, dude, it's going to be that much harder to keep pushing and that much easier to give up. So one thing that helped me tremendously, and honestly, I don't know where I'd be right now if I didn't have this mindset, was I did not have a plan B. I was all in on this and I was destined to figure this business out and figure it out as quickly as possible. And I was failing often, failing fast, and failing forward.
Dude, so good. So Johnny, you mean that I can't like wait to work out and eat good once I get a six pack, then I'll do that. Then I'll start going to the gym and eating better. I
Absolutely
mean,
not.
which dude, that is such a big deal. Sometimes people buy into a thought process that if they just have somebody that can uncover and make them aware of what they've got, they're like, oh shoot, yeah, that doesn't make sense. And that's why a lot of people don't realize, man, like they're one statement, one conversation away from possibly just breaking through because like the person you're talking to, if they didn't have you kind of like call them out on that spotlight, like, hey, broke mindset here, bro, like that ain't gonna work, then them carrying that for any more days in the future, eventually they'll get to a place where they're so discouraged because they're not getting the results because the mindset's wrong that they finally give up. But if they were just to shift that, it changes everything. And so like I love that. And I think you've already said probably like nine great clues that people need to have to level up their business. I think the one that you started was obsession. And so I think that, Jonah, nowadays that can kind of get this like negative connotation, which means like if I'm obsessed with my work, that means that I'm not going to have time with God. I'm not going to have time with my spouse. I'm not going to have time with my kids. No, I think that there's seasons of life where you need to be obsessed with one area and the light on that area is super bright and you just kind of dim the lights a little bit on the other areas. You don't turn them off, but
Yeah.
maybe you got to sacrifice, an extra weekend here and there with going and doing XYZ with the family. Or maybe you got to, let your spouse know like, hey, on this night, I'm going to be home late on these nights just because this is what I'm going after. The light is not off, it's just dim. And sometimes even with a dim light, you could be more effective because you don't have as much visibility to see. So you got to be more intentional on how you walk. And so now maybe I'm a little bit more intentional with my spouse, less time, but the time is more impactful. Maybe I got a little bit less time with the kids, but it's way more impactful. So you could actually enrich relationships with dim lights. But the problem is when you say that, people are like, oh, well, I can't get obsessed. Obsession doesn't mean you turn off the lights. You just stop talking to your family. You stop reading the Bible. You stop working out at the gym because, man, I'm obsessed about the business, so I can't go to the gym. No, 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 no. You're missing the point here, bro. You just can't go to the gym for 4.5 hours when you just get started every day. Like you just gotta you gotta dim it a little bit. Like maybe talk and walk, right? Like I've learned that from you, Jonah. Like I'm starting to get, by talking and walking in every day, bro. So I appreciate that. We've had a couple Zooms and I'm like, bro, you out there walking? You're like, man, I'm walking. And so now I've got,
Gotta get the steps in.
dude, I got the talking and walking going, bro. And it's changing the game, dog. So,
Yeah. Habit stacking.
yeah, well, exactly. Like collapsing time frames. How can you make money while you're making money? How can you, affect fitness while you're affecting finances? I love that. So for somebody on here,
Can I touch that really
yeah,
quick? Because
absolutely.
this is phenomenal. I want to stay on this for a second if we could. If I'm married now and I'm new to marriage, you've been married a lot longer than me, so you have more wisdom in this realm. But for me, and this is something I had a conversation with Claudia with, where as men, and not everybody will agree with this, but it's okay. As men, but for me personally, because I can only speak for myself, I'm only able to show up for Claudia the way she needs me to show up if I'm doing what fulfills me and fills my cup. Because if my number one prior, like if it was just all about spending time with Claudia and being there for her, I know a lot of people that they spend a ton of time with their spouse and they're always there for them, but they don't have that genuine relationship with them, or their spouse doesn't respect them the way they should because they don't respect themselves. So for me, and I told this with Claudia early on in our relationship, I said, hey, I can only provide for you and love you the way you need me to love you if I can show up the way I need to show up in my business and do what I'm passionate about and build what I need to build. And I think also, if I could add one more thing to just the mindset coming into this, because it's tremendously important. You guys, I think social media has tainted our perspective of the business, where you see a lot of people online. And one good thing about social media is it's brought a ton of attention to the life insurance industry. That's why people are flooding in and grows, because they see what a great opportunity it is. The downside of that is a lot of people are marketing it the wrong way, or they're seeing the instant success. And the truth is, a lot of that's not real. Social media is not real. So I came into this with the mindset, like, you have to come into this with the mindset of, this is a 10-year run. This is a 10-year commitment. This is not a 3-month commitment. I'm going to run up a bag. No, that's never going to work. Patrick McDavid, he sold his company for $253 million. He talks about 10-year runs where if you want to be truly successful in anything you do, you have to commit for 10 years. And the truth is, think about it this way: success and failure, they're on the same path. Failure is just an earlier exit. That's it. Doing 20K and doing 40K, it's the exact same process. The 20K producer just simply stops sooner.
Oh, that's beautiful, man. I love that. I've never heard it put that way, but that's exactly the truth. Even applied to recruiting and building, developing leaders. It's just like, how quickly are you gonna quit or exit? And I want to stay there because I think that's closely tied to obsession. I think the obsession is also going to be rooted in somebody's like driving force, like the why, like why they're doing it. Because you could say, well, all right, I get the obsession part. Well, then the question is, how do you become more obsessed? So if the top producers are more obsessed, well, then how do they become more obsessed? Practically, what can they do? I want you to answer that, but I want to add one thing to what you said about your cup being full, so that way you can give out overflow, right? You can be there for your spouse. I'm going to just throw one faith component to that. Like for most, I feel like you're not, you got to have a full cup also for business. Like your cup has got to be
Yes.
full for business. And the thing that fills you up that can't complete you is your relationship with your maker. And so the more you're filled there and everything is rooted there, then the rejection on the phones, then when you're talking with your spouse and you get an argument, whatever it is, like you're not at a lack because you know who completes you, which is your maker. And so now you're able to give out of overflow, out of confidence, security, and identity. And that shifts everything. So I love that, man, because you're 100% right. You think like, I'm gonna just give more time here. And I've had people say, well, dude, I gotta give more time with my kids. I'm doing it for my kids. Like, dude, if you're doing it for your kids, analyze your time. What are you doing from 4 o'clock to 9 o'clock at night with your kids? Dude, I know if I spend 5 hours with my kids just like hanging out, they no longer like me to be their father because I'm gonna drive them nuts. Like maybe that's just me, but I'll just start acting like an idiot. I'll fire them up. I'll say like because I don't have five. But if I got 45 minutes to go connect, say, hey, dude, like last night I went and played baseball with my boy in the backyard. Man, that 45 minutes was more impactful than if I spent 5 hours dawdling around the house and just said I was with my kids. Like, no, you weren't, dude.
Yes.
But that time is intentional. And so, but talk about obsession. Like, how does somebody get more obsessed?
Well, so to the point with anything at the business, spending time with family, you hit on it. You said it perfectly. I mean, it's not about quantity of time, it's about quality of time and intentionality. So that's one thing that I've been working on and I've gotten a lot better at over the past few years is when I'm with Claudia, I'm super intentional and that's quality time. When I'm in my business, I'm intentional and that's quality intentional time. Because this is actually, I can't take credit for this because Joe Basso said this, but he's like, listen, people you don't people talk about burnout or avoiding burnout, and I relate with this heavily because Joe's been working a lot harder than I have, so he's a little bit ahead of the game. But we've both been working really hard for. I've been working hard for 5 years. Joe's been working hard for a decade. We're both doing great. you've been working hard for a long time. You're doing great. People don't get burnt out when they're working hard. People get burnt out when they're not seeing results. And the truth is, you're a lot more likely to get burnt out if you're doing 10, 15K a month than if you're doing 40K a month.
It's
And
good.
because when you're winning, it's, I'm people talk about, I'm not a believer in following your passion because if you typically the people that follow their passion, if it doesn't pay the bills, their passions ends up turning into resentment. Like one of my buddies, he was a person, he like loves working out, bodybuilder person, and then he got into personal training, and he was like, dude, I was like in the gym all day, and it almost made me not want to work out, and I stopped enjoying working out. So don't go into something like, nobody got into the life insurance industry of like, oh, I'm just really passionate about life insurance. It's, we got into it and we find passion in, oh, this is something that I'm actually good at. And then you start hiring agents. You're like, oh, dude, I like people. I have a passion for people. I have a passion for service. This is something that I can actually really, this is a legitimate opportunity here. And this is something I can really become good at. And so the truth is that when you're building a business, it's going to be hard. And trying to think of the right way to phrase this, but if you can, one thing I've been working on is reframing my perspective from just black and white, oh, this is good, or oh, this is bad. Because like that's like saying that if you look outside and it's sunny, it's a good day. If it's raining, it's a bad day. Like rain and sun are both important. And so back to what I was talking about earlier, it's the difference between 20 and 40K is the 20K producer just stopped earlier. So think about this. If you go to a car lot and let's say you have three cars, you've got the first car, which will get you from point A to B, nothing special, just a regular car. Let's say car number two, it's economically safe and gets great gas mileage. And then car number three is you absolutely love. And you're like, dude, this is the car I want to drive. This is perfect. This is exactly what I'm looking for. Well, your question would be, which car are you taking? It'd be, well, I want the third car. How much is it? Well, the truth is that what if I told you all three cars, they were the same price? It took the same amount of pain to get because being broke is painful, working hard is painful, but living with regret is also painful. And so you have to really pick the pain that you want. And for me, I want to be on my deathbed and I want to stand in front of our creator when I pass away just with a clean conscience, knowing that I gave this life my everything. I worked as hard as I possibly could. I impacted as many people as I possibly could. And I just want to leave this earth depleted and exhausted.
Yeah.
And I said this on stage at convention where I was like, I believe that when we die, we're going to see two versions of ourselves. We're going to see the version of ourselves that we died in, and we're also going to see the version of ourselves that we could have became. And for me, I know that I'm never going to be that second person, but my goal is to be as close to that second person as I possibly can.
I love that, dude. I mean, so powerful. To me, John, I've really enjoyed and loved getting to know you over the last couple months in a different way. And the one thing that, if somebody said, what are some characteristics or qualities that you see in Jonah? I would say definitely self-disciplined. Like he's disciplined. He's not moved by emotions, what he feels about a situation. Like he's disciplined. If he says he's going to do it, he's going to discipline himself and do it. If he sees the payoff and the reward being worth the price to pay, he'll pay the price. Like he's disciplined. And I think that that's probably such a great indication or a clue of what top producers look like. They've got discipline. And I would think that a lot of people that struggle or average, they are more moved by feelings than they are by discipline. Like, kind of talk about that, man. Like, how does somebody develop that quality or characteristic or clue of being successful, the quality of discipline and not being moved by emotions? Because in this business, I think it's like, it's kind of like anything. The more of a greater gift and blessing, well, the more responsibility, accountability, and cost could be associated with that. And I think most people, Jonah, and you've probably dealt with this for years recruiting, they like the idea of having autonomy of schedule, like the idea of like being able to do what you want to do when you want to do it, but they don't understand how the temptation to do what you feel like doing is so hard to combat. And because you can do what you want to do, the temptation is even greater to do it. And then it stills the dream that you've got when you started here. Kind of talk about that a little bit, man.
That's a good one. For me, and this is something that I've been working on reframing for the past year, a lot of my motivation was fueled off of negativity. And I think there's a healthy balance of leveraging each. You want to leverage negative emotion, and I think it's you can derive more grit and motivation from negative emotion, but it only gets you so far. And then you have to have a mix of negative emotion and positive emotion. And so, truthfully, coming into this, I just had a big chip on my shoulder, and I wanted to prove everybody wrong that doubted me growing up. My parents didn't support me, and I was broke and different things, and you have friends that are talking crap, and we have all these different things that we go through when we're in this business, and so a lot of it was proving people wrong. And over the past year, it's been reframed from a perspective of service, of this is what I've been able to achieve and this is what I've done. So now my focus is helping and serving other people and helping them change their lives. Because that's one of the most rewarding aspects. And that's why I love this business so much. Like that's why you talk about passion. That's why I'm passionate about this business is when I get on the phones and close it in, close a deal and help a family, it's great. It's it's fun. I enjoy it. But what I love so much more is getting a brand new agent there for sale
Yeah.
and seeing that spark in their eye and seeing their life changed. And they were making $30,000 a year before this to now, dude, they're doing 30K a month. And that's something that's really special. And I did a really good podcast. Like one example would be shout out Ethan Corsi, here in the Tampa office. That's my guy, dude. He was doing construction before this, and we were in our Chicago. We were both living in Chicago at the time. Moved from Michigan to Chicago, was dead broke. Was living in a 700 square foot shoebox apartment with his boy Eli, and he said, "Man, it's just." Like seeing him come in, and when he came in he was a little bit nervous and wasn't really sure and didn't have a lot of confidence in himself, but like dude, he just grinded and he would like we would like post his he was sharing on the podcast this morning of like we'd post his dial trackers in the sales chat because he'd be like 5, 6, 700 dials in a day. And we'd be praising him. He'd be like, dude, you guys were praising me, but I was pissed. I'm like, dude, I needed a sale. And he just became obsessed with trying to figure this out and seeing his transformation over this past year of who he was when he came in. Dude, now he ain't the same dude. He's not the same Ethan. He's walking different. He's dressing different. He was able to buy a great car. He's got money in the bank account. He was our number one producer last year. And so seeing that and seeing different lives change and what he's going to do over the course of this next year. And then also just the standards have changed where I remember in our first office, if you did 10K in a week, you were at the top of the leaderboards there. And now just in our office this week, dude, we got Damon at 40K. We got Ryan. He's at 70K for the week. He just closed a deal yesterday for 54,000 AP. So it's like
Let's
if you're
go.
doing 10K, you're not even in the top 10 or 20 anymore on the leaderboard. So just seeing the standards rise, seeing lives change. I mean, dude, that's what fires me up. You talk about passion. That's what I'm passionate about. I
I
love
love that.
this. I love this.
Well, dude, I mean, so many great thoughts to that. It's kind of like the thought I have, Jonah, is like people probably don't realize it's going to require more discipline and pain than they think, but the reward is much better than they can imagine. That's kind of how I'd best articulate. Like what if I knew it was gonna be this painful and require this much discipline and sacrifice up front without feeling the emotion of what the reward looks like? I don't know if I would have been able to, if I would have been like, sign me up. You know what I mean? Like, all right, like because it was more than I thought. But then also the reward of seeing and experiencing and being a part of impact like that, like you're expressing, like, dude, you don't understand how life altering that is for you. It's kind of like the whole learn, earn, and return. And if you look at that sequence, like, okay, that's great. If we look at, okay, you're going to step into an industry, the goal is to learn, earn, and return. Well, what are you learning? And if you think about this business, bro, I was talking about this with a person this morning. Like when I got started at 19, Jonah, I didn't know how to be a dad, a spouse, an actual just like legitimate human being. I was like just trying to figure life out, man. Like grew up in not the best, more of a dysfunctional kind of situation, doing things I probably definitely should not have been doing. And I was like, shoot, I need to figure this out. I got a baby coming, right? Girlfriend's pregnant, end up getting married. Like it's a lot. I'm 19. And in this business, this industry, I was able to learn how to go out there and make money for the family, but also all those characteristics and qualities that require me to be a person that can actually produce and serve families also allowed me to be a better husband, a better dad, and a better human being, right? And so like the learning part, there's nothing better in America, in my opinion, as far as learning. And then the earning, that's success. Like how much can you earn? Okay, I've learned. It's like me learning pumping septic tanks. I could learn as much as I can about that. Dude, I'm not going to go from making 10 bucks an hour to 100. Like I might just like get one more extra job done a day as far as my earnability. Here, the earnability from a producer standpoint, dude, it's massive. It's almost like unlimited, 7 figures. But then the returning part, that's where significance is. Being able to help people earn, and the significance is going to be tied to what are they learning and what are they earning. And if you're helping them learn how to be a better person in their life, which this requires that, and they're able to earn a significant amount of money and change their life, dude, the gratification you get from the returning is elevated, bro. And so like I absolutely love that thought process as far as what that looks like, man. I think that's just absolutely spot on. Um,
Mm.
as we get to a place where we're wrapping up, man, what do you think something that if I like, bumped into you somewhere at a conference, I'm like, Jonah, all right, dude, break it down for me. You're killing this thing, multiple 7 figures. Like, tell me something that's going to impact me. What's the single biggest thing that I need to know to go out there and get to be this top producer that I desire to be? Like, what would the biggest thing that you would tell that person?
Belief in yourself. Every single client you talk to, a sale is being made. Either the client is selling you on why they don't need it, or you're selling the client. And the only way I can properly help and serve the client is if I sell myself first and I have the belief in myself. Goes back to what we were saying at the beginning of this podcast. The number one determining factor if someone makes it in this business or not, above skill set, expertise, charisma, product knowledge, is belief. If you have the mindset that I can do this, I may not be the best, I may not have the proof yet, but I'm going to work as hard as I can and I'm going to figure it out. You're going to figure it out. And I made the mistake in the beginning of trying to sell people on themselves and believe in people more than they believed in themselves. Like at this, if you believe you can't do it, you're right. You can't. But if you believe you can, you can. And the truth is, nothing changes until something changes. So what are you going to change if you're not where you want to be right now?
I love that, man. So good, dude. I think leaving this call today, guys, a call to action that I guess I would give you, being it's Monday morning here, is I would say take a look at what Jonah just said. Really lean in and don't just be like, okay, that was motivational. No, no. Actually ask yourself, what's the single biggest thing that you can do today that you can change that will make everything else seem not as important and not necessary? Like, Jonah, there's so much freaking noise out there now. Everybody, like, information is at a surplus. The problem is there's all kinds of knowledge, but there's no understanding. Like, you might have all this knowledge, but there's no true understanding. And so, like, really taking a look and saying, what's the single biggest thing that I need to change today that will lift the lid and move me to where I want to go? Is that leads? If you're investing, like, Jonah, for your top producers, what do they invest in leads every week on average?
2K.
And that's a commonality, right? Everybody does that. That's a
Yep.
top producer. So if somebody's like, this is great, I'm going to change something, and then they're investing 500 bucks a week in leads and they don't first change that, are they just setting like head faking themselves?
Yes.
So invest more in leads, guys. Like that's the first thing. That'll also hedge yourself against being moved by emotions, like Jonah talked about, being moved by what you feel like. It'll help you be more disciplined because in your mind, the deck has been stacked. You're like, dude, I got $2,000 in leads, man. I got to call these families. Somebody walks in your office that you normally like, engage with them and you guys talk about nonsense for an hour. You're more likely to say, hey, fool, dude, I got to focus, man. I got $2,000 in leads. Opposed to if you got $100 a day in leads, you're like, oh, bro, I got plenty of time to call 9 leads. Come on in, dude. Yeah. What'd you guys do yesterday? Man, the weather. Yeah. So, dude, you see the chemtrail? Yeah, man, that's crazy. Hey, watch this TikTok, bro. Oh, dude, I saw this. What are you doing? Like, bro, come on, dude. Like, this is like, what are we doing? You got a great opportunity. You're not capitalizing. So get your leads right. And then get your activity right. How many dials are you making? Like, what are the top producers dialing? What does that look like as far as dials from top producers calling leads? Like, how many dials a day you think?
our top guys aren't dialing because they have dialers in place and texting VAs.
So the
But
ones that,
they had to work their way to get to that point when they were new, because that's another thing is a brand new agent, they'll look at somebody that's a top producer, they'll be like, oh, what is he doing now, I'm going to do that. And so no, what you need to look at is what did he do to get to where he is, what
that's
did
it.
he do when he was at your stage in the game. So when they were new, before they had a dialer, before they had a texting VA, dude, they're cranking $300 a day, they're working 8 to 8, they're getting 5 presentations a day.
I love that. So if you're not making $300 plus a day, if you have a dialer like Wave Dialer, you could even be more. But like if you're not making that a drop dead standard, that's something to change. Mindset, you said it today when we kicked it off. You said submerging yourself in this where you eat, drink, sleep, dream, everything. Could you say on a 1 to 10, where do you rank with like being submerged in this environment? That might be something to change, right? That might be something to change. And then education. Are you educating yourself and building up your competency throughout the week, which is different things, whether that's product, maybe that's a different source, maybe annuities, whatever. Like, are you educating yourself and developing yourself into the full all around service professional? And so, man, this has been
Well,
great, dude.
can I add to that one more
Yeah,
thing?
yeah, dude, 100%.
Dude, so if you guys are within a 2 hour radius of the office, get to an office. Okay. If you aren't, if you're single, move to an office. I mean, half our sales team has moved. I mean, Jake, Kyle, like anybody that's a top producer, they are in an office. So getting into that environment, proximity is power. Like if somebody wants to work with me, I don't hire them unless they're willing to move to me. We've had, countless individuals move at this point. We have a lot of guys that are actively moving to work with us. And so it just comes down to what are you willing to sacrifice? Like I had somebody in my office yesterday, they live an hour and a half away. And they're like, dude, I'm stoked. Like they have no problem driving to the office. I wasn't even like I didn't even have to sell them on it. They're like, dude, I see the benefit here. Like I'm driving every day. I'm happy to do that. And another thing on top of that, if you guys do have to drive to an office, Paul, we were at dinner, we were at the Hall of Fame dinner, and one thing that we were laughing and connecting about, which the newbies won't understand, is like all the car time we had, that wasn't wasted time, by the way. No, dude, I was listening to this podcast in the car every single week. I didn't miss an episode. I was listening like listening to trainings and trainings and trainings, like sharpening my sword, prioritizing my personal development, learning new skills, learning new things. In agents. Like I intentionally booked appointments in other states. So I would drive from Chicago to Wisconsin every single day. I had an hour and a half drive up to Milwaukee, hour and a half drive back down. And dude, that time was so valuable. I didn't let a single minute go to waste. I was either listening to trainings or I was talking to an agent and training an agent. So I told this person in my office the same thing. I'm like, hey, that hour and a half you have drive here, either listen to trainings or train your new agents that you're hiring, and role play with them or on the phones, and use that as that's valuable time in the car, and don't let that go to waste.
Dude, so good, man. Everything you're saying, bro, it's like I'm like, yep, yep. And that's the purpose of today's episode is like success leaves clues. You're dropping all those clues, and I'm like, that's exactly what I did. That's exactly what these top producers do. Guys, it's a formula. The recipe's there. The question is, are you going to actually believe in yourself enough to go out there and pay the price and be disciplined enough to go out there and execute and do it? Because knowing without doing is not knowing. You might think like, oh, I know that. Well, if you're not doing it, then you don't know it. It's like my kids, like I go clean your room. I know, Dad. It's like, no, you don't know, fool. Your freaking room's dirty. Like if you knew, I wouldn't have to tell you. So I got to keep telling you until it's ingrained in your mind and you actually clean it without me having to tell you. Like you know not because you do not. Make sure you look at yourself and don't head fake yourself that you think you know because you've heard it before. The question is, are you doing it? So maybe this is a call to awareness. Like, wake up, let's go. Hey, don't miss it. 2026, we're just getting started. Like, if there's a time now to put a new discipline, if there's a time now to lean in what Jonah just talked about and broke down over the past 30 minutes, the time is now. Analyze, look at it. Don't head fake yourself. Don't compromise. Set some goals, some standards, some parameters, put a purpose behind it, and go run because your future self will thank you if you do it. So, Jonah, I love you, bro. This has been so good for me, man. I appreciate you. I always enjoy chopping it up with you, dog. This has been fun.
Thank you for having me on, brother. This is a good time.
All right, guys. Hey, make sure to like, subscribe, share this to somebody. There's somebody on your team that sucks and they need this, right? Even if they're good, they still need it. But there's somebody that's desperately needing this. Make sure you share it with everybody so they can take their business to the next level. Guys, we love you. Make it a big week. We'll talk to you next week. God bless you guys.